Welcome, my friend. Today, I will tell you a story that only 5% of people truly understand. It will test your mind, your patience, and your heart. This is not just about learning English words. It is about learning a lesson that can change your life. Patience, the power that few people master. Our story begins in a quiet mountain village. There lived a young man named Daniel, full of energy. But Daniel had one weakness. He could not wait. He wanted results fast, answers fast, and life fast. Waiting even one moment made him angry and restless. Patience was his enemy, and speed was his god. One morning, Daniel went to buy bread at the market. The baker said, "It will be ready in 1 hour." Daniel exploded. "Why so slow? I cannot wait." The baker smiled and said, "Good bread takes time. Without patience, the bread will not rise properly." But Daniel left angry, walking home with an empty stomach. Later, Daniel decided to plant seeds in his garden. He dreamed of eating vegetables the very next day. He watered the soil and demanded instant growth. The next morning, nothing appeared from the earth. Daniel shouted, "Why so slow? Grow now." He kicked the ground, blaming the seeds for failing. An old wise man walked by and saw Daniel's anger. He asked, "Why do you fight with the earth?" Daniel replied, "I planted seeds, but nothing grew." The old man smiled kindly and said, "Growth needs time." Even the strongest tree was once a patient seed. Daniel laughed and ignored his words, still full of pride. Days later, Daniel heard of a great competition. The king challenged men to carry water up the mountain. The one who arrived first with a full bucket would win gold. Daniel ran fast, water splashing with each step. He thought, "I will win because I am the fastest." But soon his arms grew tired and the bucket spilled. Behind him, villagers walked slowly and carefully. They protected their buckets with calm, to steady steps. While Daniel rushed, their patience preserved their strength. At the top, the king waited for the winner. The patient villagers arrived with buckets still full. Daniel arrived exhausted, his bucket nearly empty. The king rewarded the patient, not the fastest. Daniel felt shame, realizing his speed had failed him. The wise old man whispered, "Patience gives true strength." Daniel thought deeply about those words. For the first time, he doubted his way of living. He wondered, could patience really be more powerful than speed? Slowly, Daniel began to practice patience in small ways. He waited quietly for bread without shouting at the baker. He watered seeds and watched calmly for their growth. At first, it was not easy for him. His old habits of anger and rushing returned often, but each mistake became another chance to improve. With time, Daniel noticed changes in himself. His heart grew calmer and his mind grew clearer. Patience gave him peace he had never known. The villagers saw Daniel becoming a new man. He listened before speaking and helped without complaint. They respected him more as his patience grew. One day, a storm destroyed part of his house. The old Daniel would have shouted and cursed loudly. But now he took a deep breath and stayed calm. He began repairing his house slowly and steadily. His neighbors saw his attitude and came to help. Together, they built it stronger than it was before. Daniel realized patience not only built strength, it also attracted kindness and unity from others. Patience turned loneliness into friendship and love. Years passed, and Daniel became a village leader. People came to him for advice on many things. He always reminded them, patience is the path to peace. Children especially loved Daniel's gentle way. They gathered around him, asking for stories each night. He always told them patience was greater than anger. A boy once asked, "Is patience stronger than a sword?" Daniel smiled and answered, "Yes, much stronger. A sword cuts quickly, but patience builds forever." News of Daniel's wisdom spread beyond the mountains. Travelers came to hear his lessons on patience. They expected secrets, but he spoke with simplicity. "Wait, breathe, and trust time," Daniel always said. His words were short, but their power was endless. Even kings began to notice his reputation. One day, the king invited Daniel to his palace. He asked, "Tell me, what makes a man truly strong?" Daniel answered calmly, "Patience, not power, makes strength." The king was moved by his wisdom and honesty. He offered Daniel gold, but Daniel refused gently. "My treasure is patience, and that is enough." The king honored Daniel as a teacher of the land. People from faraway places traveled to learn from him. Patience became a new law in many hearts. Daniel grew old, but his spirit remained young. He walked slowly through the village with peaceful steps. People greeted him with love wherever he went. One winter, food became scarce and fear spread quickly. Villagers panicked, looking for fast solutions to survive. Daniel reminded them, "Patience will save us, not fear." He organized careful sharing of the little food. Families ate less each day but remained united. Through patience, no one went hungry that winter. When spring came, the villagers celebrated with joy. They thanked Daniel for his wisdom and calm leadership. He said, "The hardest seasons teach the greatest patience." Children danced and sang around him happily. They called him Grandfather Patience with affection. Daniel smiled, knowing his lesson would last forever. One day, the old wise man returned again. He was even older, his hair white as snow. He looked at Daniel with pride in his eyes. He said, "You have truly learned the lesson. You are no longer the restless boy I met. Now you are the tree, strong and unshaken." Daniel bowed and thanked the wise man deeply. His heart was full of gratitude for the guidance. Patience had transformed his entire life and soul. As years passed, Daniel's hair turned white too, but his patience grew even stronger with age. He had become the calm anchor of the village. Travelers wrote stories about Daniel in scrolls. They spread his wisdom across distant kingdoms. Patience became his gift to the entire world. Yet Daniel remained humble, never proud or arrogant. He said, "I was once impatient and weak. It was patience that made me who I am." Sitting by the fire one night, he reflected, "I once shouted at bread, at seeds, at life. Now I thank patience for every blessing I see." He taught the young, waiting is not wasted. Waiting is the soil where strength begins to grow. Patience turns time into your greatest ally. Even in his final days, Daniel was calm. He spoke softly, listened deeply, and loved gently. His patience became a light for everyone around him. When he passed away, the village wept with love. But they knew his lesson would never disappear. Patience lived on in their hearts forever. The tall tree still stood strong in the village. It became a sacred place of reflection and prayer. They called it the Tree of Patience. Children sat beneath it, repeating Daniel's words. They said, "Wait, breathe, and trust time." They grew up living the lesson every day. The story spread across lands and generations. Patience became a shield against despair and anger. Daniel's name was remembered not for wealth, but wisdom. His life proved that patience is not weakness. It is the hidden strength behind every true success. It is the foundation of peace in every soul. In a world rushing faster each day, Daniel's story matters. Most people want quick results without waiting, but only a few understand the power of patience. Those few live calmer, stronger, and happier lives. They do not break under pressure or storms. Their roots are deep, like the tree of patience. If you rush, you may win for a moment, but patience wins for a lifetime. Patience is the key that never rusts. Anger burns quickly and then disappears in ashes. Patience burns slowly and lights the way forever. That is the difference between losing and winning. So, what about you, my friend? Do you live like Daniel once lived in anger? Or will you choose patience like he finally did? Patience in small things builds patience in big things. Waiting for bread teaches you to wait for dreams. Seeds teach you how to wait for your harvest. Every day brings a test of patience. When someone speaks harshly, will you react with anger? Or will you pause, breathe, and respond with calm? When life feels slow and nothing changes, remember Daniel. Remember the tree, the bucket, the storm. Patience will carry you when speed cannot. Even the strongest rivers began as small drops. They needed time, patience, and persistence to grow. So does every dream in your heart. If you understand this story until now, you are rare. You are already part of the 5% who understand. Because patience is hard, but you stayed until the end. Most people would have quit halfway through the story. They would not have the patience to continue listening. But you remained, and that proves your strength. This story was not just about Daniel's life. It was also about yours and your journey. It was about your power to wait and grow. Today, the world needs people like you, people who can stay calm when others lose control, people who wait, breathe, and trust the right time. Patience is not easy, but it is always worth it. It builds character, strength, and wisdom in silence. It creates victories that speed can never create. Daniel's journey is now your mirror. Look into it and see where you stand. Impatient or patient? Weak or strong? The answer lies in your choices each day. Choose patience, and life will reward you greatly. Choose anger, and life will take your peace. Remember, patience is a seed inside your soul. Water it daily with calm actions and steady faith. One day, it will grow into an unshakable tree. Do not fear slow progress, my friend. Fear only the quick path that ends in emptiness. Slow steps lead to lasting greatness. The world runs fast, but you can walk slow. The world shouts loud, but you can stay silent. Patience is your quiet victory over chaos. So wait before you speak harsh words. Wait before you give up on your dream. Wait, breathe, and trust time to work. If you understand this, you already carry power. Few people do, but you are different. You are part of the 5% who understand. And if you practice patience daily, you will rise. You will find peace in storms and light in darkness. Patience will guide you where speed never could. Daniel's story is now in your hands. Carry it with you as a reminder each day. Let patience be your teacher, not your enemy. You can change your life like Daniel did. Start today, with one calm choice at a time. Start with patience, and the rest will follow. If this story touched your heart, take action. Wait, breathe, and choose patience in your next moment. And subscribe for more stories that teach both English and life.